Sampling distribution. So sampling distribution is a very important topic in statistics, and all the inferential analyses are based on sampling distributions. So in this lesson we will learn, we have three learning objectives. First one is what a sampling distribution is, second is central limit theorem, and third is standard normal distribution. Before going to sampling distribution, let me tell you what is a population and a sample. So when we go for collecting data, we never collect the data from whole population. Means, say for example, if you are asked to collect data of all tall trees from a forest, it is difficult to collect the data of all tall trees from the forest. So what we will do, we will collect some representative data from some tall trees which will represent the all tall trees. So here we will make a frame. Frame is that we will make around 2 kilometer square area. Out of this 2 kilometer square area, we will collect 10 samples. So this is the population of all tall trees, and there's a frame of 2 kilometer square area. Out of that I will collect 10 tall trees and I will analyze the data, and that will represent the whole tall trees of the population. Similarly, another example, let me explain. If it is asked to collect the diabetic population of India, the all citizens of India will be considered as population, but it is difficult to go each and every individual of India to collect their diabetic records. So what we will do, we will select each and every state, around 200 individuals from each and every state. So here state is a sampling frame, and population and 200 is the sample size, sample. So from a population of all over India, we'll collect from each and every state around 200 individuals, which is the sample, and from there we'll collect data how many are diabetic, and that will be interpreted, and finally the population status on diabetes would be informed, diabetes would be computed. So whatever data we'll get from this sample will represent the data as a data for the whole population. So this is what the population is in bigger term and sample is the representative figures. So why we go for sample, not for the population? It's because sample is less time consuming. Means in a short time you can collect more samples rather going for a census. Second is it is less costly. Rather going to 2 crore, 3 crore people, it is better to go for 10,000, 20,000. So it is obviously less costly. And finally it is less cumbersome and more practical. If you go for 2 crore data, it is many times reliability is lost, many technical difficulties come. So better, more practical it is when you go for more samples. So there are different ways of sampling. One is the non-probability sampling. Second is probability sampling. And here in each types of sampling, there are different sampling methods we'll find. So what is a non-probability sampling? This is a sampling which is where the individuals are chosen without regard to their probability of occurrence. Means, say for you are asked to sample the trees, so you cannot go deep to the forest, rather you will sample from the areas where you can access, you can visit and collect the data. So this is your convenience. As per your convenience, you have collected data from the forest, the tall trees of the forest. So this is called non-probability sampling. So here the convenience is the main point, and some other justifications, for example inexpensiveness or easy to collect. These are the main points considered in case of non-probability sample. So here all samples are not being selected. Only those samples are being selected which are easily accessible or convenient in some respect. Similarly, judgment sample is there under non-probability sampling, where only those experts are chosen who knows the subject better, or those are people are chosen who doesn't know the subject at all. So there biasness, no randomness. So this is a kind of called judgment sampling, also a part of non-probability sampling. Then coming to probability sampling, here the items in the sample are chosen on the basis of known probabilities. You know what is the probability of sampling the items. You can understand there is a 50% probability, 20% probability, 30% probability. Likewise, you can estimate. So this is called probability sampling. There are 4 different types of probability sampling. First one is simple random sampling. Second one is systematic sampling. Third one is stratified sampling, and fourth one is cluster sampling. Actually, all these 4 are simple random sampling. Only difference is that in case of systematic sampling, simple random sampling is done in a systematic way, in a phase manner, or in a stratified sampling they are divided into different groups, and then simple random sampling is done. And in cluster sampling, a big samples are clustered, then from each cluster simple random sampling is performed. So in all cases we follow simple random sampling with some changes in these 3 categories. So what is our simple random sampling? Is a sampling method that is the items from the frame has been equal chance of being selected. In a frame or in an area or in a population, if there are 10 individuals, every individual has equal chance to be selected when you sample. So how many times you have to sample so that every individual would be selected? That is what we have to decide. So this selection is done with replacement or without replacement. So how we will proceed for selection? How will we proceed for selection so that every item would be chosen at once when you go for sampling? There are 2 ways. We can go selection with replacement, and we can go for selection without replacement. What is with replacement? It is that out of these 10 samples, when you collect first 2 samples, there 8 samples were left out. Now prior to go for collecting second sample, you will return the first 2 samples and mix up the samples. Then when you go for second sampling, there is again a chance that you will get some probability of sampling, the same probability sampling from the population. Then when you come collect 2 samples from these 10 items, before going for a next third sampling, you return these 2 samples back to the population, so that next time again there is equal chance of being selected. This is called with replacement. But when it is that once you collect the sample, 2 samples, there are 8 samples remaining. 2 samples, 8 items remaining in the population. Now you are not returning these items in the first sample back to the population. You are sampling on the rest of the 8 items of the population. So this is called without replacement. Whatever, we have to go for some sampling, and that way we will get a distribution of samples. Means you have to collect. I told you the sampling frame, it may be 1 kilometer square or a state or any character of the population, whatever. So you need a frame. Within that frame you need to collect so much possible many samples, so that the population, each items of the population will get a chance to be included in your sample. So this is what the sampling distribution. A sampling distribution is a distribution of all of the possible values of a sample statistics for a given size sample selected from the population. So this is what it is said, the distribution of all of the possible values of a sample statistics for a given size. Here this is the example. You can see there are 24 items in this population. 6 into 4, 24 items in this population. And there are 4 groups, first, second, third, 4 groups. So I want to make 4 samples where at least one from each group would be selected randomly. So here in the first case you can see 1, 7, 11, 9. They have included 1, 7, 11, 9, 11, 19 are included. So from each group at least one is picked up and included in the sample number 1. Again, a second sample you can find 2, 9, 10, 16. 2, 9, 10, 16. So again from each and every group at least one is picked up. Similarly in a sample 3 also 4, 8, 14, 15 from each group also picked up. And sample 4, 3, 6, 13, 18 again picked up. Now if I have to select each and every one, you can see this item is left out, this item is left out. In each and every row at least 2 items are left out. So I have to increase the sample size. This is sample size is 4. So first sample, second sample, third sample, fourth sample. I have to go on to get more samples, so that these 2 items which are left in each group also get a chance to be picked up. So this way the whole items will get an equal chance to be picked up. So when I will go for calculating mean from each sample, suppose this sample, suppose this is age of the population 20, 25, 30, 35, whatever. I will find the mean of the sample. This is called sample mean, x1, mean of the sample. Then again mean of second sample, mean of third sample, mean of fourth sample, and so on. Every time I will get a sample, I will get a mean of the sample, I will get a standard deviation of the sample. So when I will get a whole mean of the sample, whatever number of sample I will do, this is called sample mean and denoted as x. And mean of the sample mean is known as mean of the population. This is mean of the population. Mean of the population. So mean of the sample mean, this is sample mean. Mean of the sample mean is equal to mean of the sample. If you collect a good sample from the overall population, the mean of the sample will represent the mean of the population. So another example, let me go for a very practical example. It is said, suppose you have a population of 4 students from your college and you want to get information about the population mean or mean age. If you obtain many different samples of size 2, remember you have a population, it is 4, and you want to get a sample size 2, and you will compute a different mean, because when you go for sample size 2 you may not get the mean of n4, but you will get a different mean. So we are interested in the distribution of all potential mean. So if you go for sample size 2, how many times you have to sample to cover all the population? of 4 items. Again, I told you, when you go for sample, you should ensure that every item should be picked up at once. So when you sample and your sample size is 2, every time you collect 2 items from the sample population of 4, there should be a chance that every item should get a chance to be picked up. So how many times you have to go for sample so that every item of this 4 get a chance to be included in your sample. And in all the samples will be having a separate mean, and these means are distribution of all the means. We want to know how these means are distributed on the probability basis. What is the chance of getting a mean more frequently? What is the chance of getting a mean not getting a mean frequently? So we want to know the different probability of getting the mean. So that is what you want to calculate. Now here, this is the data we have from the previous example. Population size is 4 and variable is x, which is age. It is 18, 20, 22 and 24. So this is the population size. Now you can see the mean is 21. This is calculated x, summation of x by n. So mean of the population is 21 and mean of standard deviation of population is 2.236. Since the number of items in a population is 4, every item has a chance of 25% to be picked up because there are only 4 members in the population. So they have this distribution. Now if I go for collecting samples and the sample size is 2, then this is what we can get. This is sample size 2 scale, and you can find these are the samples of 2, 18, 18, 20, 18, 22, 18, 24, 18, like this. 2, sample of 2, sample of 2. So if I calculate the mean of each sample, we'll get the mean 18, 19, 20, 21. This is the mean of each sample. So there are 16 means we are getting. So these means have a specific distribution, and you can find that 18 is having 1/16th chance, and 19 is having 2/16th chance, and 20 is having 3/16th chance, and 21 is having 4/16th chance. Likewise, the whole means 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, they have different chances of getting in the population. So here this can find that this is the probability 0.06, 0.125, 187, 25, 187, like this. Now if we plot them on a graph, this is the means and this is the probability. We'll find that they are having this is the 21 is having highest 0.25. So this is the highest chances probability to get in the population. Here also you can see 4 times we are getting the mean 21. If we calculate the mean of all the means we are getting, sample means, we are getting 21. So it means that 21 is the mean of the population. And remember, when you are getting a distribution of like this, it is a very normal distribution, and there the highest bar is the mean of the population. So when we are having this kind of distribution, a bell curve, it will actually represent the mean of the population. So here we got the mean 21, which is actually the mean of the population, and also standard deviation 1.58, which is almost close to the standard deviation of the 2. So you can compare here every population having a uniform distribution, but here their means are not uniformly distributed, but this is the mean that is very much reflected. This is what called the sampling distribution, where the means are plotted against the probability, and you can understand what is the chance of getting each mean from the probability curve, which is not available from this population distribution. And second part is that here our population is 4, so we can go to each and every item. But when the population size is very high, very large, that is 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 4 lakhs, we cannot go to one and each and every item. So in that case we have to rely on the sample. There we need this statistics, because there we cannot construct this graph. Here our size is 4, so we can go and see each and every individual, but there we cannot compute the same thing. So there we have to rely on this kind of structure. Our sample means should have this kind of distribution, then only we can say that they're actually representing the population. So this is called a normal population distribution. When we have this kind of distribution, it is called normal population distribution. It may be of this size or it may be of this size, whatever. There is a bell-shaped curve where the middle part is tall and the both side having two tails, one tail and second tail, two tails. And it depends on the sample size. If you have a smaller sample size, you may not get the same bell curve. We have shown in the earlier here this bell curve we may not get. And if you just increase the sample size to 5, you may have more or less similar bell curve size graph. And if you go for n is equal to 10, it is going to increase, it is going to have the shape. And if you have n is equal to 20, it is much better to reflect that bell curve. So here you can find that the sampling distribution already that we have understood, having a bell curve like structure if we go on increasing the sample size. So here the mean of the population samples is equal to the mean of the population when it is having a normal population distribution. When all the means, when we plot them against their probability, will take the shape of the bell curve, we can understand that the mean of the population samples is equal to the mean of the population. This is very important because when the population is unknown, we have to rely on this graph. So this is normal sampling here has the same mean. So this is the normal population distribution, and this is our sampling distribution. So if these two having the same, this is having this kind of curve, we can say this is representing the mean of the population, or population also having the same distribution. So this is what the first property of the sampling distribution. And if we increase the sample size, we are closer to the actual normal distribution, and where the standard deviation decreases. So you can see here sample size is smaller, your deviation, this is the standard deviation, this is bigger, wider. But if you go on increasing the sample size, you are having smaller standard deviation. And you know what is smaller standard deviation means? All the data points are closer to the mean. There is less variation among the data points. So this is what another good information you can get from the sampling distribution. Again, another point, we get the central limit theorem. In this theorem, if all samples of a particular size are selected from any population, if all samples, whatever the probable samples, all samples to be selected from a population, the sampling distribution of the sample mean is approximately a normal distribution, and it takes a shape of bell curve to show it a normal distribution nature. and the mean is in the middle. So this is how this is called central limit theorem, and there I can find that sample distribution of sample mean is normally distributed for any sample size n. So this is what the central limit theorem. So very clearly, if we increase the sample size, the distribution turns to normal distribution curve. Other points are like that: if the population distribution is symmetrical, means the both sides are equal, the normal shape of the distribution of the sample mean emerges with a samples as small as 10. Means the higher side and lower side from the mean. Some data points are higher than the mean, some data points are lower than the mean. So if these higher and lower data points or the sample means are symmetrical, there are 5 sample means are there on the higher side, 5 samples are there on the lower side of the sample mean, then only 10 sample size we can get the normal curve. And if a distribution that is skewed or one side is heavy or very thick tail means generally the distribution is like this. So you have some means here, but thick tail means it is like this. So the means are very sharp. So here it may require sample of 30 or more to observe the normal feature. That normal feature, to get this kind of feature, you have to go actually up to 30 samples. Then the mean of the sampling distribution equal to mu or population mean, and the variance equal to the population variance. So here some of the examples are there. This is what the population with a symmetrical population. So you can see n equal 30, n equal 6. They are higher the sample size means they are getting more bell shaped. Similarly here also one side is heavy, skewed, we are getting a n equal 30 is a better look of the normal distribution curve. And this is uniform, also you are getting n equal 30, better look. Symmetrical, it is skewed and also better look. So whatever, when you come to n equal 30, you are getting more normal distribution than the smaller sample sizes. But there is a one problem. Although we know that this is the normal distribution when you go for higher sample size, but if you compare different populations, many times you have to compare different populations, and there if you just take the count of the means, this is 0 to 50. Suppose one population is having mean 8 and deviation as 1.6, another is having 12 and deviation 2, and another population having 14 and deviation 1.8, and likewise another population having 12 and deviation 2.9. Since they have different means, population means, they are shown at different positions, which is difficult to compare different population at one go. Although all are normally distributed, but it seems very difficult since the peaks are at different points. So can we make some adjustment so that the means, whatever it 8 or 12 or 14 or 12, whatever the mean or whatever the SD, the mean should be located in the middle and other means of the sample will be located on both sides of the curve. So can we make this distribution? Here lies that normal distribution versus standard normal distribution. This is a normal distribution where we have suppose this is 0.8, this is 0.12, or this is 0.14. So here three means are located, all are normally distributed. But if you go for standard normal distributions, all these three means will come to one position, and we can compare which one is having more normal distributed, or we can have different features of the standard normal distribution curve. We can go for different features and we can analyze more better. So can we do that? Yes, you can do that. And this is called standard normal distribution, where mean is presented as 0 and those data which are higher to the mean, suppose 50 is the mean, higher data from the mean 60, 70, 80, 90 are located on the right side, positive side, positive tail, and those are smaller than the mean 40, 30, 20, these are on a negative side or negative tail. So mean is at the middle, which is 0, and those data with a difference deviation from the mean on the higher side are located on the positive side, and which are on the lower side located on the negative side. So higher deviations are shown this side, lower deviations are shown on the negative side. So this is called standard normal distribution. This curve can be constructed with a formula called Z value, or sometimes it is called Z distribution curve. So its Z value is calculated like this: sample mean, then the mean of the samples, then the mean of the standard deviation of the samples. Or you can go for sample means, or mean of the populations, or standard deviation of the population divided by root over n. So this way we can convert each and every data on the normal distribution curve to standard normal distribution curve. So each and every data, 30, 40, every data is placed or computed using this formula, and then plot this graph, which is standard normal distribution graph. Their mean comes as a 0. In Z distribution curve, mean always comes as a 0. So here you can see the standard normal distribution is a normal distribution with a mean 0 and a standard deviation of 1. Every data is located at 1 standard deviation. Here every data is located at 1 standard deviation. You can show 0, 1 standard deviation, so 1 standard deviation. Again from here another minus 2 standard deviation, here another plus 2 standard deviation. So mean is located at 0, shown at 0, and data are shown at every 1 standard deviation. Then any point from a normal distribution that I told you that in a normal distribution curve, this is any point from the normal. You can take any point between 30 and 40 also. Any point on this normal distribution which is computed on Z can be converted to standard normal distribution using the formula that already we have seen. Then Z for any particular x value shows how many standard deviations x is away from the mean for all x values. So you can easily understand that how far the x of normal distribution curve is located from the mean in terms of standard deviations, because every scale is counted at 1 standard deviation. You can understand if it is 2 standard deviation, you can say it is away from the mean by 2 standard deviations. Here you can see this is what the mean, and this is 1 standard deviation. So any data here from the x normal distribution curve, any data which will represent -1 here, this point, can be said as the 1 standard deviation towards the negative side, lower side. So one can look at it. So we can look at each and every data on this curve, and if we consider 1 standard deviation on both sides, that is mean, this is the mean, plus minus 1 SD, we will cover 34% plus 34%, 68% data. 68% data from normal distribution curve within this area. Means this area will cover 68% of data from normal distribution curve. they fall within this area. And if it covers 2 times of the standard deviation, it will cover 95% of data total within this area. Within this area will cover 95% of the data. Then if it goes beyond that 3 times of the standard deviation, it will cover 99% of the data. So you can have an estimate how much data falls within this range. 95%. How much data falls within this range? 68%. Likewise, we can have an estimate from the standard normal distribution, which is not possible in case of normal distribution. So this is what the sampling distribution, different forms of the sampling distribution can give us. And remember, this is the basic of the standard of the old distribution of statistics. You have T distribution, you have F distribution, all are standing on this kind of conversion, and everywhere there is a different statistics to calculate them within this range, within 68%, 99%, 95%. So this is the basic of the whole statistical analysis to get the probability of the data. Thank you very much.